I'm trying.
Hi, Ginger, can you hear me?
Bill can hear you.
I noticed some people that are unidentified trying to log in.
Hi, Ginger, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear Ginger.
I can hear you.
Okay. Diane, can you? I noticed some people that are unidentified trying to log.
Yes, I can hear you, Ginger.
Whoa. Yes, can you hear me?
Somebody's got the live stream running with the speaker on because the live stream's about 30 seconds behind.
Diane, okay. I turned out of the meeting because there's a delay on it. Okay. For people, I think we accidentally allowed Troy in the meeting. Troy, we're going to ask you to leave the meeting and to go to the YouTube website. Thank you. That's asked to be admitted. I don't know who they are, so I can't admit them.
I'm not seeing anybody, Ginger.
In the waiting room?
Did you make
I'm sorry, Diane, will you repeat that, please?
Did you make Linda and I a co-host?
Yes.
Because I don't see anyone trying to join.
Have you opened up the participants window? I don't know why that
I
would.
sure have.
Huh. All right, let me take a look at that particular.
Unless maybe you're just too quick.
Got the tight shot of Patrick going on here.
Yep. Hi, Bill.
Hey,
How you doing, buddy?
good.
Good.
Second, let's see. Oh. One last thing to check.
You let me know when you think you're ready, Ginger.
Okay, we're close. Okay, Glenn, I've also made you a co-host.
Okay.
I'm going to go back through and make sure that Diane and Linda are co-hosts. The live stream is going, just so everyone knows. Okay. All right. So now we are ready. I believe we have everyone in. Jill is here. Hi, Jill.
Hi there.
Ginger, we have someone on the phone with the number ending in 8076 that would like to be admitted, and I don't know if I should.
No, we don't admit, only the people that are on the agenda get admitted. Everyone else goes to the live stream.
Yes, I just didn't know if this was someone who is on the agenda, but it's coming up as a phone number.
It could be. Let's admit them and see who they are and ask. Oops, it just disappeared.
I just admitted them.
Okay, and then we'll ask them who they are in a second. It might be Ruby.
I think it might be also.
Let me check. I have Ruby's number.
Can we just ask who's 8076 to
That's
speak
not
up?
Ruby's phone number.
Okay. All right. All right, we will remove them. Okay.
We getting close?
I think we're close enough. We can go ahead and start.
Okay, I will go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:05 for North Marion School District Board of Directors. I'm going to start off with roll call. So if you would let me know if you're here. Jason?
Here.
Ricardo?
Here.
Heidi? Second call for Heidi.
Heidi is
Bill?
not.
Bill?
Here.
Crystal?
Here.
Jill?
Here.
And Chair's here. So with that, if you would join me in the flag salute and Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
of the
of
United
the
States
States
of
of
America
America
and to
and
the
and to the
republic
republic for which it
for which
which
it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
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 God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and
for all.
justice for all.
Again, thanks everybody for joining me tonight, and thanks for our audience and the participation from the community. I have a couple of notes I'd like to share with everybody first. In an effort to keep these meetings a little bit more orderly, I would ask that you, as board members, use the raise your hand feature on Zoom. I will try to pay attention to that as closely as I can. Also, Diane and Linda, if you see that I'm missing somebody, please interject and let me know. But I would like to keep it so we're rather than us talking over each other, we can each have a shot at asking questions or giving comments. Also, if an item is not on the agenda, I'm going to ask that if we don't have an item listed on the agenda, that item will probably be posed as a question to either Ginger and or staff, depending on where it's directed, and it will be answered later. This is in an effort to give staff and Ginger the proper time and the proper time and the proper resources to answer the question fully and to answer it in a way that's coherent, rather than just trying to hit them with questions that are kind of off the cuff. It's not in an effort to try and keep questions from being answered, but it is trying to give our staff enough time to prepare to answer those questions. So I would ask that of our board members going forward. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with one noted change. I have had a request to move 6A and 6B to the top of our list, probably right underneath Board of Communication. Is that where you would like it at, Ginger?
Yes, please. And Crystal has her hand raised.
Okay. Go ahead, Crystal.
Yeah, if we're going to start doing questions, can we make sure that it's noted that there would be no agenda changes as of Friday between additional information being added between Friday and Monday? Because often we come to the board meeting and they've put an update in on Monday.
And I would just answer that happens. hopefully it's not issues of major policy, but there are things that happen right up to the last minute. And we have to have some discretion to work with things as they come up to, especially since we cannot all meet in person, so.
Correct, but we don't get notification.
Okay, so moving on, I would like to, if somebody would give me a motion to approve the agenda with those changes of 6A and 6B moving up in order.
I'll move to accept the agenda as amended.
I'll second that.
Okay, let's go for a vote on that. Jason?
He's muted.
Jason? I'll come back to you. Ricardo?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Crystal?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Chair votes for. Once again, call for Jason on the vote of accepting the agenda as amended.
Aye.
Thank you, Jason. Moving on, let me do board communication. Since this is fairly, there isn't a lot to deal with here. 2 items, virtual convention coming up on November 14th for OSBA. As of I'd last heard, we only had one person registered, so please please consider it. I know time is valuable, but please consider it. There's a lot of valuable information coming out, and this year is especially challenging for all of us. And then there is still voluminous, information about connectivity in all of the legislative updates, as well as the ODE updates. And so if you haven't got a chance, please get it, please consider reading through some of that material. So with that, let's go ahead and move to 6A and 6B. This is
Are we doing 1.5? 1.5? Or 1.4, 1.5? Or am I, maybe
We
I'm,
have an introduction of a new hire.
right, that's 1.5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went past that. So yes, let's do that. I almost forgot. So yes, I would like to, on behalf of the board, introduce Amy Llewellyn, who is our new HR clerk and payroll specialist. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Amy Llewellyn. I have experience at school districts Dallas, School District McMinnville, Perrydale, and Central. So I'm not a stranger to school districts, so that's good. Heavy in payroll and benefits, always in the HR office. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here. It's a pretty cool district from what I've gathered so far.
Thank you, Amy. Much appreciated. I've met you in person, and you're a pleasure. And I'm really happy to have you with the district in this role. And so, welcome on behalf of all of us, and thank you for agreeing to join our district. So, and then 1-4. I don't know if we had any public comments submitted. Ginger, is there anything else that needs to be addressed?
Diane, did you have any public comments submitted?
Not officially, no.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Dan. Alrighty, so now down to 6A and 6B. So school operations and department reports. Sherry, are you ready to begin that? I think you're presenting with staff as well. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, we can be ready to go.
Alrighty.
Good evening, everyone. I did send some slides as a presentation format to the board agenda, and I am not intending to go through those slides. Those slides were meant for background information for board members in the areas that I was asked to prepare for, which were grading, attendance, course content, and then the care and connection. So All of those components we are working with K through 12. And I would just take a minute to say I'm really pleased with the level of rigor and the creativity of our teachers as they are preparing lessons for the first time in comprehensive distance learning. They're going above and beyond to make their lessons engaging and relevant for kids. Having said that, yes, it has been a transition to comprehensive distance learning. Our teachers and administrators miss the kids desperately sitting in front of them, but we're making the most out of it. And to that point, we had a really positive start to the year, but at the 3-week of instruction period, it's time for us to take a step back and start gathering some data so we know areas where we need to make some improvements. And so we're right there at that point in our school year where we are starting to get some data and ask some questions about how we need to improve. Overall, one of the things that I hear K through 12 from teachers and administrators is they're very pleased with the level of attendance in the live lessons each day. What is more concerning is the follow-up with assignments being turned in K through 12 from the students. So that's one area where we need to do some work and figure out how we can support students to be turning in their assignments. So filling the gaps with Canvas. We do have a group of 5 administrators who have been specifically assigned to Canvas, as well as a subgroup of teachers who put a lot of effort into Canvas before school started to learn and be the boots on the ground in each building. As we are getting deeper into Canvas and all that it entails and all the possibility with Canvas, we are learning so much more about its capabilities and how we can include parents more in the Canvas platform. And so having parents be observers alongside their child so they can see everything that the students see as far as the platform and courses and assignments that they need to be turning in. We really need to invite our parents into a partnership to help us get those assignments turned in. But attendance has been very good during the live lessons. At the same time, we started a virtual online program using a completely different platform. This is Pearson Connexus, and we're using our North Marion teachers. So simultaneously, these teachers were learning Canvas and then turned right around to learn the Pearson Connexus platform. I do have some data to share about the enrollment in that program I can share now, or it's coming up a little bit later in the agenda. Makes more sense to talk about that program now as far as data goes. So let me just tell you where we are with that. We currently have 81 students total, K through 12, enrolled in the virtual online program. We just have 4 students, kindergarten through 2nd grade, 6 students in the intermediate levels, grades 3 through 5, 7 students at the middle school, and 64 students at the high school. And at the high school level, the number of students enrolled range from 9 at the freshman level to 27 at the senior level, which makes sense to me. So overall, 81 students enrolled in that program. And again, they are being served by our North Marion teachers, and the quality of teachers who are serving those kids, I couldn't be more pleased. These are excellent teachers. I thought you might want to know a little bit about the enrollment of some of our disaggregated populations. So out of the 81 students, we have 8 students who are on an IEP. So that's about 10% of that population. And pardon me, those are all at the high school level. I'm sorry, those are, we have 2 at the primary level and 8 at the high school level. So that's a total of 10, I apologize. ELL, we only have 2 students enrolled in the virtual online program who are English language learners. And we have a total of 5 TAG students enrolled. So a higher percentage of TAG students. We established a goal to have our parents in the virtual online program enrolled as observers, so that they could again see the Pearson Connexus platform alongside their child. And we have been able to enroll every parent as an observer. And the login information will be going out to parents this week as to how they can log into that program as an observer. I've been sending regular communication to our online parents, in addition to all the district communications that we send out on behalf of the district as a whole, K-12. So I wouldn't be honest if I didn't tell you that there's been challenges with getting both programs up and going. We have met many of the challenges. Launching the integration of two platforms simultaneously was the biggest challenge. In the end, the integration with Pearson Connexus was not going as we had hoped. And we, through a 11th hour communication with our Pearson support staff, we decided we needed to go to a manual upload right now of information, which was extraordinarily labor intensive. It was data entry on our part and on the Pearson part. But we did it. And we were just one day delayed with instruction there compared to CDL. So overall, I think we've had a good start. There's lots of room for improvement, we know, as we collect more information from our stakeholder groups, which includes students, teachers, and the parents, will know better how to proceed to improve in those areas. Caring connection is the underlying theme in whatever instructional model we're delivering, whether it's through Canvas and comprehensive distance learning, the virtual online program, and Pearson Connexus, whether we ever get to a hybrid program this year or maybe even face-to-face learning, the theme is care and connection. And as we started instruction in September, that was our focus K through 12. And so better to speak to all that's been done in the name of care and connection would be our staff. So tonight we have two staff members, Ruby Contreras, our migrant ed coordinator, and intermediate school counselor Jordan, formerly Walling, now Rayburn, who can speak to the K through 5 focus on care and connection. And then we'll follow up with a focus on high school care and connection with two of our teachers, Annie Fail and Sarah Bailey. So they are prepared just to share with you some of the things that they've been doing to reach out to our families and students. So with that, let me introduce Ruby and Jordan, and thank you for being here.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Ruby, do you want me to go? I can go ahead and start if you'd like.
Okay, good.
So my name is Jordan Walling, or now Rayburn. I still get messed up. I just got married a couple months ago. I'm the school counselor at the intermediate school. And as a counselor, care and connection has always really been a big aspect of my position, and now more than ever. So I'll just speak a little bit about to all the levels of care and connection that I try to provide at the intermediate school. So first of all, universally, care and connection support. I push into general education classrooms, all 15 of my classrooms, during their social emotional learning block, and do a counselor lesson that has a real focus on care and connection. Then I also have like kind of secondary services, which are primarily needs-based services, by collaborating with organizations in the community, our parent-teacher organization, and other staff members in the district to run some of these programs. So some of the programs that we run right now are, we do weekly porch drop-offs with the PTO organization, where we've identified families who are in need of really basic needs, whether it's food or hygiene items. And those items get delivered every Friday right to their porch so that they're able to access these items. Another thing that we do that we just actually started is a supply distribution system, which basically identifies what our students are needing to be able to access their learning through this virtual like CDL platform, and then actually getting those supplies donated and delivered to their homes. We had our first delivery go out last Friday, or the Friday the 2nd, and now we are having our next delivery go out this Friday the 16th. So those deliveries will go out every other week with all of the supplies that have been identified as being needed for students to be successful with their learning. After, also we do a Big Brother, Big Sister program, which we're trying to get kind of put into motion right now. We do that in brick and mortar every year. And now we're trying to figure out how to make that work on a virtual platform. It's basically our FBLA students at the high school will partner with our intermediate school and primary school students and are just like positive role models. And these sessions are facilitated by myself and Patty Reeves, the counselor at the primary school. So we're looking at getting that up and running hopefully by the end of the month, which would be ideal. Another thing that we're getting ready to get started on is the Giving Tree. It's our Christmas program that identifies families who are needing some support during the holidays, which is really hard, and help them provide Christmas for their families in collaboration with churches and organizations in our community as well. And then we also have individual services that really focus on care and connection. And in this is really where it comes down to person-centered supports. And for myself as a counselor, I utilize a strength-based, trauma-informed, solution-focused, and person-centered lens as I work with families. And so some of those services that I provide are one-to-one meetings with parents and students through like Google Meet or phone calls. Those meets aren't possible for everybody, so we also have to go through like snail mail in some instances, so sending postcards back and forth if needed. Another thing that we do is connection to resources. That's been a really big one since this whole coronavirus hit. So in the last spring, it's been a lot of connection to resources, helping families be able to support themselves through some of those challenging times of unemployment or reduced income than what a family is used to. So that's been another really big part. We really just try to work with parents to collaborate with them, connect with them and their kids, and be able to help support them in overcoming any barriers that they experience. And then some of the barriers that we kind of come in contact with every once in a while is if we can't reach a family for whatever reason. And then we go through a chain of trying to figure out how to contact the family and connect to help them overcome whatever barriers there are. So we'll do phone calls, mail, emails, or even a home visit if that's necessary as well. So yeah, that's everything I have for you guys.
Okay, I'm Ruby Contreras, and I work with the families that only speak Spanish and don't speak English. I spend my time, most of the time, on the phone, a lot of phone calls, because it's a main communication for them. They don't know too much about technology. So that's the way, or sometimes I do porch visits too, when I cannot reach them because they work or because they don't check their voicemails too. They don't know how to do it. They need a lot of help with technology. So what I do is I open their children's account and I explain them step by step what to do. We do it at the parking lot, or I go to their houses. What I do too is, as like Jordan said, we deliver food. Sometimes staff told us that there is some food, extra food, so I take the food to the families. I deliver to any devices or hotspots, clothing, if they ask for clothing too, or I just go and visit them when they're children. They're not participating in class and we cannot get a hold of them. So what else I do? Let me think. Okay. Parents, they don't like to leave voicemails. They don't like to talk to robots, they told me. So I just check all my missing calls and I call them. I think that's a way to let them know that we're here. We care about families. And another thing that we do is we are talking them about WAVE. They have a good program for families that qualify for free meals. They can get internet at very low cost, only $10 a month. And we are printing the applications if they don't have a copier at home, the printer, sorry. And now Carla gave me the idea of helping them to set up the internet connection. So I think I'm gonna start going home and helping them to do the application and submit all the documents they need so they can get that internet. Okay. So I don't know what else. Some challenges they have is some of them they have internet at home, but their children go to the babysitters. And with the babysitters, they don't have internet. Or if babysitters have internet, they have, maybe 8, 10 children and they cannot help all our students. That's all the things that I hear from parents. And parents, the ones that they don't speak any English, they cannot read, they cannot write, it's very hard for them to help their children. So just let them know what's going on with our parents, that for some of them it's hard. This distance learning is hard for them, but they're doing the best they can. And I told them, okay, don't worry, just do your best. And when you get home, just ask your children to work on what they can, and feel free to call me anytime. And I have a flexible schedule. They can call me, sometimes they call me at 8 at night, 9, and you know what? It is fine. I'm here for them. And it's not only me, Carla at the primary, Merari at the intermediate, and Rafael Pelaez, they're doing the same thing.
Well, Ruby, I know that you are very humble, but all your effort is well known throughout this community and neighboring communities. So thank you very much for all you do. Thank you, Jordan, for all the care that I know is happening K-5, but through your willingness to reach out to our families too. So this community is very, very lucky to have people like you working in it and on behalf of all kids. Thank you. It's a little bit different at the high school level. So we're going to swing to the upper end of that. I know that both Ruby and Jordan referred to our Get to Know You conferences, and those have been taking place on Mondays. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, where our staff has been reaching out to families, parents and students together to focus on getting to know the students and what their needs might be for comprehensive distance learning, letting them know how much this school cares and wants to support them during this time. So let's hear from Annie and Sarah.
Hi, my name is Annie Fail. I am an English language arts teacher at the high school, as well as the Sources of Strength coordinator / advisor. And like Sherry said, our connection at the high school is a bit different. We are connecting directly with our students, much less with their families. There's not a mom or a dad over a shoulder as we're teaching them, as there is generally at the elementary middle levels. So our connection has been with young adults who are grappling with their own personal stress levels, as well as maybe the stress of the families around them, right? So we've been a little creative in how that we are connecting with our kids, and leave it to teachers to find the newest, latest, and greatest apps and technologies for reaching out. So some of the successes that we've had are teachers taking temperature checks at the beginning of classes. How are you? What's your stress level today? What are your concerns? And they've been able to do that through fun online games like Kahoots, or we have now interactive slides through Google Slides coupled with Pear Deck that allow the kids to actually respond either in writing or pictures or check the box. And sometimes the anonymity, if you will, like the teacher will get the student's name, but the student doesn't have to say it out loud. That allows us a little bit more honesty in a lot of cases, because our high schoolers don't like to be open and exposed with their emotions. So that's been a fun thing. Remy Strapp, one of our fabulous math teachers, has used a Flipgrid, which allows the students to actually record themselves. So a lot of them haven't let us see their faces, just their avatars. So that's been a way for her to visually engage with her students, at least from her end. So that's been a lot of fun. Myself and several other teachers have requested weekly emails from our students. And some of them are like, yep, I'm fine, it's all good. And then others are writing big paragraphs telling us about their challenges and where they need help, or even their successes. So that has been really, really lovely. And then just recently, Google Meets went through a update where they allow us to do breakout rooms, either 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, 3, 4, 5 ratios. And so we now have the ability to step away from our class while our class is still going on and interact with our students one-on-one. And me personally, I'm looking forward to utilizing that as the weeks go on, maybe to see some real faces and just get a little bit more real talk, how things are going. And then Sarah, if you wanted to talk about the survey, that would be awesome.
Okay, so I would like to preface that we really feel like we are cooperative with our students. It's not just us just disseminating information out and like, we think they're fine, so we'll keep going. No, the best teachers are learners constantly, and they want to know how to make things better. So the best way is to ask the students, how's it going? Like, we don't know. I mean, anyway. So we would like to push out a survey and cover some kind of topics. Like one of them is really like nuts and bolts of like, what's your workload like? Because we know as teachers, we have all of these things that we want to cover, and we have all these great expectations. But then we also have that bug in our ear, just kind of like what Ruby was talking about, where our students don't necessarily have the like ideal environment for the entire 8 hours of their day. So how can we balance what we would like to give them with the resources that they have? So we're hoping that survey can kind of help guide us so we can be better coaches. And then also it's one of those two where like Annie said earlier, like if we can get some more kind of straightforward, how are your feelings? Because if we have that anonymous kind of feel to it, I think we could give us some better feedback for us as teachers to do a better job for the students, because ultimately that's why we're here. So, which is great. But anyway, but I think it's time, because I think we've all had a chance. Like I know as a mom, I've told my own personal kids, give it a week. Let's see how it feels. Hold on a second. Like, I mean, so I think it's time to do a check on them and see how things are going, because one of the great things about North Marion is that we are 100% connected with our students, sometimes whether we want to be or not. And so I know ultimately that they know that we care, but I also think that doing a survey is going to be a visual, oh, that's right. The teachers do want to check in. They do want to see how we're doing. Okay, that's right. Someone's going to listen to me. Okay. So anyway, but it's just one more avenue. We can only do so much on gut instinct. I feel better to know exactly where we need to target. Like if it's mostly our freshmen that are just new to the idea of like high school in general, or is it our seniors, or is there some reason like our sophomore boys are just floundering, well, that's kind of usual, but anyway, but if we could get an idea to do a better target, that would be awesome. So anyway, I don't know, I think it'd be good for us to just kind of take a pause, sit back, how are we doing, and do our own official mood reader and get some better numbers to kind of help our students out, because that's why we're here. We are here for them, and then we'll know what supports to give them versus just I think you should have, but based on their feedback, we could actually give them some actual targeted supports, and that would be even better. So anyway, yeah.
So the last thing I'd like to add is that the next piece of Care and Connection is something that has been ongoing since last February, and very excited to be able to continue the work with the National Program Sources of Strength, which is a program committed to changing the culture and climate of schools, specifically high schools, that they do have middle and elementary curriculums. Myself and Ty Brock attended training, 4-day intensive training. It was amazing. And we are currently in talks to do online training for both adult advisors and peer advisors. So hopefully I'll have more information to share with you as that program goes underway.
That is so exciting. The sources of strength. Couldn't be more excited about that. And thank you to you both for being out in front and helping to create the survey and being available and willing to speak tonight. I just wanted to share one other bit of information with the board, that the state has come through yet again with revising their policies and practices in support of social and emotional learning. So they came out with new guidance for student learning growth goals that teachers and administrators must submit each year. And those goals usually are academic goals. And this year they have opened up 3 new categories for goal writing: social emotional learning, student engagement, and family engagement. And so the door's been opened for our teachers to set goals in those 3 areas. And that is really, really encouraging because it's relevant to the environment in which we're all teaching right now. So
Thanks,
thank
Sherry.
you, State of
Bill,
Oregon.
Bill has his hand raised. I wanted to give him a chance to chime in here.
Sorry, had to get to unmute. My question came into my head when Ruby and Jordan were talking, but it's for all 4 teachers. And by the way, let me start by saying I want to thank all you teachers, the 4 who are presenting tonight for sure, but all of you for all the efforts you're putting in. We have several groups in the community. Primary one is that I sit on is the SID team, which helps in driving supplies and things. And when Ruby and Jordan were talking about delivery of supplies, we have a lot of businesses and the SID team and some personal community members that are all looking for ways to help and donate things in that are needed, but we don't know exactly what's needed. So I'm kind of hoping we can set up some kind of place where we can look as community and see the things that are needed, maybe weekly or bi-weekly, every other week, and bring you those things. I have even businesses that are offering spaces with full Wi-Fi for kids to come to, all the way down to, do you need food? Do you need cash cards? Do you need what? Right? So there's a lot of community support that want to engage with helping families, and we just need to know what it is that's needed. So somehow, if we can work that out, we can really bring the community around in really helping supply some of this stuff. So just wanted to throw that down.
That's awesome. I think we could get a list to the SIT team. And Ruby, I think, attends most of the time. Jordan, I'm not sure if you attend those.
Paige does.
Paige does, yes.
But I hit the airport meetings and the local business community. So those people also want to know how to help.
I'm collecting requests from teachers right now for things that they're seeing their kids need in their classrooms, at least at the primary and intermediate level. Myself, Patty Reeves, and Paige are all doing that. Paige, GNL, and are kind of working together to try to make that happen so that we can get kids those things that they're needing for CDL. I don't know if you want to email me after this or something like that, so I can work something out. That works.
That'd be great. Just a connection. I mean, for another example, I got $100 cash card from that national donation school teacher thing for participating in the national school boards. And who wants it? You know, I just need to know who to access. If you're it, then I'll send you my email.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And to that point, every building administrator purchased materials for distribution for CDL so that kids would have those in advanced school supplies. But, you know, they're going to run out. So replenishing it is important. Anything else while our teachers are still here? I really appreciate your representation here this evening. Before you go, I was just going to say, one of the questions I see on the agenda is staff. How are they doing? I can tell you that they are amazing, but they are stressed too. This has been one big challenge. It's what I hear repeatedly, K through 12, is how stressful this is. And part of the stress comes from the fact that our teachers want to do the very best that they can for students. And so they want to do it right. But maybe our teachers want to say, how are teachers doing?
I think we're doing okay. I wouldn't say we're thriving. I wouldn't say we're floundering. I'd say we're maintaining at this point. And that's okay. You know, we can do hard things, but sometimes doing the hard thing is hard, if that makes sense. So I know everyone is putting as much energy and effort into it as they can and as we're capable of. And it is hard to balance your personal life with your teacher life. And you wear a lot of hats during the day, and most breaks are spent in my son's room doing his school. So we're all sort of at the same place, but we have each other. And now that we can see each other on a more consistent basis with Google Meets and staff meetings, that helps.
Yeah, and I'd like to actually say something that came to my mind this weekend. You all know that I'm definitely a 23-hour day kind of person. And over the weekend, I was like, I have so much I need to do on Canvas, and I'm getting emails of stuff that kids are turning in, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, that's Monday. Having that built-in work time is awesome for that mental, like, oh, that's okay. That's okay. So, yeah, I do have it on a personal note. I'm glad I've been building a retaining wall. You know, there's nothing like an impact driver to just give you a little extra oomph. But yeah, but something as simple as having the Mondays guaranteed, undistracted. I just can get in and get done and figure out how to do whatever modifications I need to do to work for my students is awesome, because some of the emails I got were some awesome, like, students saying, you said that it was there, but I can't actually see it on Canvas. Okay, I will go and see what 17th click I forgot to click, and I will click that 18th click, and then you can see it. And then, I mean, you know, and then I emailed them today and they said, oh yeah, there it is. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's have that due this week then. Anyway, but yeah, having that guaranteed time is essential. So thank you.
Well, and I think what you're describing is we're learning as we're going and adjusting. And I think it's fair to say our students are missing their teachers and their classmates terribly. It's nice to have the live sessions. And the school closure is not impacting every family in the same way. And so I want to speak on behalf to the efforts that are being made to find every child in our district behind the scenes. They didn't come to registration. They didn't come to pick up a Chromebook, but somebody saw them in the park and said, hey, where have you been? And the student says, well, I don't have the internet, and you know, I didn't come and get the information, so I really would like to come to class. So we found somebody, and that is happening in pockets K through 12. And very, very few students haven't been found. But I know the middle school has made great efforts to find each and every student, as have the other schools, but they're not speaking tonight. So I want to give a shout out to all the effort that's happening in that vein, so that truly no child will be left behind, but at least can engage. If it's not the internet right now, and I know Greg will speak to this later, it's sending out printed materials for those students who are not yet engaged in online learning, making sure they have reading materials and things to do, and a face at the door for a porch delivery that shows that they care about the students and what they need. So that's happening K through 12.
Thank you very much for your time and indulgence this evening. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to myself or to Sarah or Sherry. We're very happy to connect with you. So have a good evening.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, Jordan, Ruby, Annie, and Sarah. Much appreciate you coming here tonight and presenting to us and for the work that you're doing. Did you have more, Sherry? Or
well, I'm just noticing on the agenda, there are two other pieces under this report, which is Lori Gamboa and Greg Patton.
And neither one of them are on the call tonight. I know that Lori's busy working. It's a status quo for now. She's still doing the meal program as designed. And I know that Greg has deployed 100% of his devices and is currently continuing the work of, we're waiting for the 200 to arrive from the Verizon grant to build upon and address the issue, build upon what we're currently doing, and then address the issues of places that have multiple children in the homes and things along that line. So we're anxiously awaiting those new hotspots to help improve access.
And just to finish that conversation, then if Greg's not here, we have list upon list, and we're checking it not once, but twice, but 10 times or 12 times to make sure we have every student accounted for and what their needs might be. I can't tell you the amount of hours spent in doing the documentation of who we have, who doesn't have a hotspot, who doesn't have the internet, who would need more. There is 100% focus and attention on that. And until we have 100% of our students found and cared for, that's going to continue. And it comes from the hearts of every teacher and administrator and classified staff and food service and custodial staff. Everybody cares about the kids, and we share information, and that's how we find them. So that's where we are with that.
Great. Thanks, Sherry.
And this was quick. There is so much to CDL and so much to the virtual online program. If there are questions, I know we have limited time for questions, please send them. I'm happy to respond to questions. If you send them to me, we'll certainly get back to you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
So with that, I'd like to move on to 6B, which is Patrick.
Hi, Glenn.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Everybody at your house, Glenn?
Very, very much so. Yep.
That's a question I repeat all day long because you can tell when people are just exhausted. I'm amazed. I would echo Sherry's comments that our staff have done amazing things and problem solved. Energy they didn't know they had, energy that I didn't know they had. So I'm amazed that things are getting done, and there's a lot to be done. I did include a chart for talking about restraints and seclusions. Each year, we have to report to the board how we're doing on those. The definition of a restraint is when we physically put our hands on a student. And oh, thank you. And would like to never do that if we had the chance never to touch a kid in a safety way. We worry that kids, if they're running towards the street, we want to stop them because we don't want them to get hurt. Or if they're running to try to really hurt another student, we might do that. Definition of a seclusion is to put a student in a room and close the door or lock the door. And we don't ever want to do that ever again the rest of our lives. We've had extensive training over the last 4 or 5 years about how to avoid those situations. We've increased our behavioral skills and our understanding of what kids need and don't need to protect themselves. And you kind of see a gradual decline from the past. So we only had 4 restraints last year. And it just involved 2 little guys at the primary school, just 2 kids. And as soon as I saw the kids' names, there are students that really struggle with lots of stuff, got mental health stuff and tough family situations with the other one. So we have 3 things that I think helped us last year in our ratios. Number one, sorry, I hit the button there. We were out of the building in March. That helped us with a few numbers. We also had an excellent hire at the primary school for our behavioral class with a teacher last year, and it just made all the difference. She's just excellent. She's 12-year veteran that came and just got her SPED license. Done a great job for us. And the other is our continued focus on learning how to better serve these kids. So those are the things that have helped us in time. Any questions on those or thoughts? Thank you.
I don't see anybody raising their hand, so thanks, Patrick. I appreciate the report in, and good luck going forward this year too. So returning to our agenda as we had approved, I had one other thing that I was asked to present in terms of board communication. Today is Indigenous Peoples Day, and so I was asked to read this statement on behalf of the district. Here at Land Acknowledgements begin with self-reflection. Why are we offering one? First, today is Indigenous Peoples Day, so we were thinking about everyone in our community, but specifically those whose ancestors were here before our ancestors. Local history, including many tribes, including the Kalapuyan bands of the North and Central Willamette Valley, the Siletz, and now the Grand Ronde. Second, we hope that those who are listening today can acknowledge the past and think about Indigenous people who live in our communities and attend our schools. Lastly, as this is our first land acknowledgement and we are taking first steps to start a conversation with an open heart to build new relationships. I appreciate you be indulging me in that. And with that, I'll move on with our agendas to item number 3, which is our consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to read through the minutes? And I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll move to accept the consent agenda as presented. Bill?
Thanks, Bill. Second?
I will second that.
Thanks, Ricardo. We have a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call if there's no further discussion on it. This is for accepting the consent agenda. Jason?
Aye.
Ricardo?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Crystal?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Chair votes for, motion passes. Moving on to item number 4. Linda, we have just a brief update from you tonight, is that correct?
Yes, I won't take long. I have several spreadsheets that I've put up and you guys can look at them later, but I just want to point out a couple of things. The auditors have asked that I show you the pre-final information for fiscal year ending June 30th. So I did put out our general fund and our other funds for that. I do want to point out that the ending fund balance that we're looking to come to is looking to end with, is $1.9 million, and we did budget for $2.1 million. So that is a little bit of a drop than what I was looking for in the budget. That 1.9 is higher than what we had been expecting back in January-ish, because when we closed for COVID, there was a lot less expenses, especially due to substitute pay. The biggest difference in my 2.1 and 1.9 is that we paid out quite a bit in personal leave that was left over for people for the year because they didn't have those 3.5 months to use that leave. So that's mainly the reason for that. So that's my general fund for June 30th. And then I want to go on to the summary for the general fund that I have for September. And I put up that spreadsheet just today. I apologize. I thought I had done it Thursday when I did my summary page, but I didn't have everything. But there's just a couple of notations on the on October, on this board meeting for my September. And that is the beginning fund balance is not final yet, but it's very close to what we believe it to be. The auditors have been here for a couple of weeks and gone this week now. We will finalize pretty soon. We were waiting on some actuarial information for our GASB information we have to put in the board report. And they were late with it for all districts and all governmental entities. So it's going to be a scramble for most auditors to get everything done. It's a first stab at all of my numbers, especially my salaries and benefits, but I do believe that they're close. It's going to be a challenge this year, not knowing if we're going to come out of COVID and go to in-person learning. That's when I believe we would have more costs for substitutes. We will have some now, but not the normal. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to have to watch some of those expenses more closely, and we'll go from there. I'll just sort of massage it as we go, I believe, in what I expect my monthly expenses to be. Later on, I will talk about enrollment, but it is down and it is something to be concerned about and watch. So I think that's all I have, unless anyone has a question for me.
I see Bill has a question. Go ahead, Bill.
Has the state released any kind of foresight on how Student Success Act money is going to happen, not happen, when, like that?
We were supposed to have a meeting Friday and someone was ill, so it was canceled. It's supposed to be this Friday where we're supposed to find out more. Ginger has a little blip at the end of this agenda and maybe she knows a little bit more.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from anybody? Thanks, Linda. Much appreciated. All right, moving on to agenda item number 5, board action items, which is our second reading of both of these policies. If you want to, are you ready to go with this, Ginger?
Sure. I believe the question that came up last time was, would we add the ending date to the policy? And we did, which is December 31st, 2020. And we also put the caveat in there because we know they're looking at extending it. That says December 31st, 2020, or until the extension ends. And we don't know what that date will be, but that gives us the hard date that's in the policy. And it also allows for an extension so we won't have to re-adopt it on January 1st. Amy, would you like to add anything about this particular leave law?
I think I'm not totally sure where everyone is on it, but it is an extension of the FMLA, Federal Family Medical Leave Act. So it is a requirement. I would say that just coming into this district, it hasn't been anything to worry about, even though it is an overall employer worry, I would say. But the fact that you guys are so flexible with your staff and understand that most of them have families and are willing to work with them to get the teaching done, and it's been great. We have not had anything come up. We do have a leave code set up for it just in case we do need to use it, but it's been in effect since April. It's been known about since March. So I know that it is the word suggested policy. But that's really just to kind of say if the federal government passes things, we'll follow the law.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks,
so
Amy.
With that, So with that, I suggest that you adopt the policy and the -1, the document that accompanies, which is gives the procedure and the application. It's my recommendation.
Go ahead, Crystal, you have a question?
Yeah, Amy, just to follow up, is this in addition to the FMLA? So does that say 14 weeks then instead of the 12?
It could probably be concurrent. It just depends on the reason. So this is really just a COVID related diagnosis reason leave. FMLA is a lot of different reasons, a lot of employee sickness.
Right. So is this in addition to that?
Not necessarily, unless there was
just taking the 12 weeks, this whole pay 14.
Right. So it'd be like FMLA. It would be, yeah, it's pretty much runs concurrent. It's an extension is the way I would say it. It's part of FMLA, and they've made this temporary extension of FMLA to cover some COVID stuff, but it has some pay involved in it, which FMLA didn't before. So
right.
It's different, but the same, right? I mean, that's the federal government for you, but,
right.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's not really an extension where they would get a ton more. I can't see that happening too much because a lot of COVID things are kind of a 2-week, thing. It's not usually going to run into,
I was looking more for the childcare aspect where the 2 weeks off for childcare.
Mm-hmm.
How often have you seen that done or have you not seen it done?
Here, it hasn't happened at all. So at some of the other districts, it was probably, I could probably count it on one hand. And even then, if they were office staff that could do some of their work at home, if it was flexible, they didn't have to use it much. So it's usually comes, I think it would be more of an issue if it was like staff have to be in the building, even if they're worried, even if they have kids doing school and family members that are fragile, then I could see it needing to be used more. But because it's so flexible, it hasn't been used at all here. So, and like I said, it's been in effect since April. But if we need to, we have the leave code and we have the federal law that we have to.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Amy. So I would entertain a motion to adopt these as presented.
Chair, this is Bill. I'd like to make a motion to adopt for second reading and adoption GCBDAA, GBBDAA, and GCBDAA, GDBDAA-AR for, again, second reading and adoption. Sorry.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Jill. Motion and a second on the table. Any other discussion on it? If not, we can move to a vote. Hearing none, I'll go for a roll call. Jason?
Aye.
Ricardo?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Crystal?
Nay.
Jill?
Aye.
Chair votes for. Motion passes. Our second thing is dealing with Division 22. And it looks like we have Sherry up to present on where we are with those standards. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I did put a presentation in the agenda, and I would like to refer to some of those slides. So Ginger, if you're presenting. As we get going with this, you might be, if you've been on the board for a while, wondering, wow, it's October. Why are we talking about Division 22 standards? Well, one thing that has changed, and it will be a change going forward, is that the Division 22 assurances have to be posted by November 1st. Moving forward, it's beginning this year. And so you're hearing from me in October rather than February. So if we could we can go to slide 3 real quick. What I just want to let you know that when we do the assurances, we are assuring that we've been in compliance for the previous year. So what I am reporting on tonight is for last year, 1920. And so as we know, last year there was quite a disruption to our educational system. And the state response to that was to reduce the number of standards that we are certifying or assuring that we were in compliance with. The number dropped from 54 to 17. And that includes one additional standard that we typically don't have. And it is on this list. It's the third bullet down in the left-hand column as I'm looking, which is the distance learning for all. So we have to certify that we were compliant with the distance learning for all guidance, which is the guidance that came forth in March when schools closed, and it is the program that we were under for the remainder of last school year. So these are the 17 standards that I am assuring with you this evening. So if we could just quickly go, I already talked about the revised timeline. So let's go through to the next slide. Right here at 8, I'm going to certify that we are in compliance with all 17 of those standards. And then I want to end the presentation with a footnote, which starts here. So we're looking ahead. Next year at this time, we will be assuring that we're in compliance with all the standards, all 54, except for the 3 that are listed here. So for this current school year, we need to be in compliance with all standards except for the personalized learning requirement, which is really a high school requirement. It includes the things that are listed there: essential skills, career-related learning. As you recall, we were in the middle of testing season, state assessment season, when school closed in the spring, and our then juniors were not able to complete the state tests, and the requirement was waived for essential skills for this year's seniors now. We are not required to do our vision and hearing screenings, although it's strongly recommended that we do. We're just not required. And then finally, as we're implementing new and increased physical education minutes over about a 3-year process, we will not be held to the assurance for those physical education requirements. I'm sure there will be a Ready School Safe Learner guidance, just as there was the distance learning for all guidance that we have to say that we have followed. What's important to note, and it ties in a little bit to the conversation about the school calendar, because comprehensive distance learning requires a lot more training for our teachers. Counted in instructional time is an additional 60 hours of professional development that is included in our instructional time calculations for this year. In addition, with the focus on care and connection and conferencing with our families, under comprehensive distance learning, we are required to conference with families 4 times per year. So if we stay in comprehensive distance learning all year, we will have conferenced with our families 4 times throughout the year. And so there's an additional 60 hours for communication with families, and that's on top of the already 30 hours that are allowed. So in total, there is 60 hours for professional development and 90 hours for conferencing or parent-teacher communication. So I think that's important to note as we get into the calendar conversation. And then finally, this is just a recommendation. I had plenty of documentation to verify that we're in compliance. I do keep a separate worksheet that shows all the things that I looked at to say that we are in compliance. And so presenting this information to you tonight is one step in the process. what will happen next is that the statement of assurances will be completed and submitted to the state. That has to be done by November the 1st. These board minutes need to be available on the website by November the 1st. So that's where we are in the process.
Later.
Thanks, Sherry. Much appreciate the information. In the interest of time, I'm going to move on to 5C if Andy is ready to give us a presentation.
I'm all set.
Perfect.
Good evening, everyone. Linda, would you be able to present the draft calendar? The academic calendar for the year. That's what I was thinking. The other one there. Yep, that's the one. Perfect. Okay, so thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak tonight. I have been a part of the calendar committee now. I think this is going on year 3 or 4, and this version for 2021 is, I think, our 3rd iteration. We've been flexible and making changes as needed. So I'd like to just acknowledge the members of the committee. We had Diane Lopsch, we had David Sheldon, Sherry Stroud, Molly Hunt, myself, and Deanne Janess, along with others who kind of voiced their input along the way. We have one of the key issues in building a calendar, whether it's a modified calendar or a standard calendar, is balancing the trimesters across the year. So the difference between the calendar prior to this and this current version is that we had to make some slight adjustments to kind of balance out the number of days and kind of get them as even as possible. In that respect, we were able to do 55 days for trimester 1. That incorporates our later start time, and had to make some adjustments around that. Trimester 2, 57 days, and trimester 3 at 54 days. Total number of instructional days is 166. And as Sherry was saying, there have been allowances made to adjust instructional time to accommodate various needs of CDL. So I wanted to also include a note that Mondays are included in this calculation. And although we don't see students virtually, online, we are using those days as opportunities for staff to connect with students. We just finished conferencing during part of those days. And we look to develop plans to do targeted small group intervention. We're doing direct services for students on IEPs, family engagement activities and suggestions. And then, as Sherry was saying, the increased demand for professional development, that can also be addressed during those time on Mondays. So just really quickly here, we had to, since we don't know what the future will hold, we're kind of focusing mostly on trimester 1. If something were to change and we need to move to the hybrid model or in-person learning, I think we're poised to do that. It would take an adjustment of the calendar in order to do that, but I think the days and the division across the year would roughly remain the same. We have the notes document, which is attached to the board minutes as well, but it kind of lays out trimester 1 was 8 days in September, 22 days in October, 17 days in November, for a total of 55 contact days. And then moving forward, we kind of built out the rest of the year, but not knowing that's going to hold. I think that we are poised right now to kind of move forward and expect the unexpected, which is kind of seems to be the theme for 2020. In looking at the calendar that you have up in front of you there, you can see in September, we've indicated that there are the preparation days in September that shortened our number of instructional days in September. October remains unchanged. And then well, actually, that's not true. In October, we had to remove the 2 days of conferencing, which we would traditionally do on Wednesday and Thursday, and make those student contact days. And in exchange for that, you'll see November, we will be using the Caring Connection conferencing times on Monday. And there's that actually goes into December. So a portion of those 6 days there will be used for that, the conferencing that's required by the CDL rules from the state. Christmas break remains the same. We did have to move a grading day and the end of trimester day, but other than that, it's pretty similar to what we had prior. I think that kind of ends what I had to say. Are there any questions around the calendar as presented?
Got a question from Crystal. Go ahead.
Hi, is there any way that we can change those Mondays to a different color? Because I don't think it accurately reflects students being in school.
So that it is
for parents?
Oh, okay. I think that could be a possibility. I'm not sure. Diane, would that be something that we would be able to do? Crystal, I can check on that for you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I can work around it. Let me think of a way that would be best. I don't want to do it to all of the Mondays. Are you just talking about the conferences in November? Because
no,
as Andy said,
students
if
are not in class on Mondays.
If we shift to a hybrid model, then I'm thinking that, you know what, we're hoping anyway, fingers crossed, you know, following the first trimester, perhaps, maybe. But there's also a little notation at the bottom. I know it's really small on the screen right now, but it does talk about the Mondays.
I don't think it's giving an honest calendar to people, because if you glance at this calendar, it shows that our students have been in school Monday through Friday, unless you read the small print. Everything else is color coded. I'm not sure why that we're ghosting that piece.
I think the choice of language is a little inappropriate.
No. Yes. So let me go back to the November. You would like to see November 2nd, the 9th, and then the first one in December shaded in a different way?
Also, the other Mondays on October, January, February, any Monday that children are not going to be required to log in.
No, how about just a note at the bottom?
I'll leave my statement and we can have, actually, can I make a motion that we do that?
I'd like to interject that
because we're asking
students,
for approval.
No. Students are actually receiving some services on those days,
but
especially
not
design instruction.
Required.
It would be very important for students to be available on those days to receive extra help if they need it, to attend office hours with staff. There are lots of things that are labeled instructional activities that like conferencing one-on-one that happen on those Mondays. So I wouldn't want to send the wrong information by saying that nothing important is happening that day. I think this is something that should be done by people doing the work in consultation, and we should move it to a different venue.
Can we move this to the work session? Can I make a motion to move it to the work session?
The work session agenda is pretty much set, but we can move this to with the next work session. Yes, we can have a conversation about this. I'm sorry, I was thinking the board retreat, my fault.
And I would just add really quickly that the notation for Mondays is available, and I believe it's boarded in the packet. It speaks to the instructional days and has the communication to parents. I hope I'm thinking of the right one, but we have indicated to families what Mondays are all about. It's the learning day. I think it is. So that would be another spot where that's.
It's the learning day overview.
Yeah, learning day overview there. No. I'm sorry, that's not it. But there is I will share it. There is another document that's been shared with families, and it has the layout of what Mondays are all about.
There was a reason we put this in the agenda. I think that other one is good as well, Andy, really good. But it just shows that the ODE instructional hours, what the requirement is, and we are more than meeting that, but it's based on the 165 days. So just another bit of information about.
So are all students meeting 165 days? Since we have Mondays that are not guaranteed?
This is based on 165 days. What I'm saying is that we are meeting the way the reason I think this document might be important and helpful is because it gives you the daily requirements or the weekly requirement. We are meeting the weekly requirement in 4 days.
Bill, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I just also say that, the way ODE is calculating this for distance learning, and in the response we have now, the calendar reflects the ODE rules and the number of hours being passed through are there. And I believe one of our teachers actually said during the meeting that they are reaching out to students that need the extra help during those times. For example, the notes on the late start Wednesdays as we did collaboration time was just a note on the calendar, and this pretty much communication is pretty strong and it's well stated for me.
Late start Wednesdays were marked differently on the calendar.
So,
hey, well, in the interest of time, we're about to run out of time. So I would like to move through things. So we have a motion on the table. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Will you repeat the motion, please?
The motion was to go ahead and Crystal, are you asking to
Postpone it to the work session so we can talk about making the document reflect that Mondays are different than the rest of the week.
Okay, so you're asking for tabling, not tabling, but postponing this action on this until the next until our next meeting. Is that correct?
Correct. With the adjustment of documentation on Mondays, a different color so that parents know.
Okay, well, those are details that we can work out in the interim.
Okay, that works.
So, Ricardo, are you seconding that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a vote on postponing. Hearing no more discussion on it. Jason, this is a vote. So a yay vote is to postpone to the next meeting. Jason?
I'll support that. Aye.
Ricardo?
Aye.
Bill?
Nay.
Crystal?
Aye.
Jill?
Nay.
Chair votes nay, which brings us to a 3-3 split. I'm not quite sure where to go with this.
That's a no pass.
No pass? Okay. So do I have another motion on this action then?
I guess okay, well, just for the sake of completion, I'll make a motion that we adopt the district academic calendar as presented.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. So this is an affirmative vote is to approve the calendars presented. Jason?
Well, if we vote the same way we did last time, it's going to revert back to the original. So I'm not sure what the point is.
There's a motion and there's a motion and a second on the board. I have to take a vote. Sorry.
All right, I'll vote in favor.
Ricardo?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Crystal?
Nay.
Jill?
Aye.
Chair votes for, motion passes. Moving on to our next item. I'm not sure if we're going to run out of time here. Unfortunately, I would like to thank Jill for her service, but she has offered her resignation. I appreciate her time here on the board, and I do thank her for doing that. Don't wish she was not going, but I understand. So with that, Diane, do we need a vote to approve that resignation, or just a vote to post the vacancy?
2 votes.
Two votes. Sorry,
Two
clarify.
votes,
Two.
correct.
Okay. Okay. So is that a motion form? Sorry.
So the
Yes.
motion would read that the board accepts the resignation of Jill Kepner in position 5.
Okay. Do I have somebody willing to so move on that?
Reluctantly, I will make the motion to accept the resignation letter from Jill Kepner.
And a second?
I'll second that, but when we say that, what if we vote for her to stay on? How does that work? What's the point?
I was gonna say if we don't allow her off, she's got to stay.
Yeah,
No, I appreciate
I'll
it.
second
So we'll move to a vote then with a motion in a second. Jason,
aye, reluctantly.
Ricardo,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Crystal,
Sadly, aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Chair reluctantly votes for as well too.
Chair,
then
this is Bill. I'll make a motion that the board declare the position number 5 open and set up an application process for the community to apply for the position for appointment.
Thanks for the motion. Do I have a second?
This is Jason. I'll second that.
Perfect. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's move to the vote. Jason,
Aye.
Ricardo,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Crystal,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
and chair votes for. Again, thank you for serving. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Did you want to tackle this enrollment report yet, Linda, or do we have time on, are we going to get cut off?
I'm not sure how much longer it will go before we get cut off, but we can continue until that time.
Okay.
Okay. Trying to share my screen, hold on. So I've put on the screen the enrollment history for a few years. I have this back probably since I started here. And you can see from October, the kind of a salmon color. In 1819, our official enrollment was 1879. In 1920, 1866. And this year, 1759. We have dropped tremendously. We are hearing from a lot of school districts that their enrollment has dropped. With that being said, we believe that the state will reallocate the funding so that maybe our funding per pupil will go up, and so we won't lose as much funding. They will fund us on last year's enrollment versus this year's. So we do have kind of a safe place to be for this year. But if this enrollment stays as low as it is, we will have some serious talks come budget time. So I want anyone listening, I don't know how many are, to know that enrolled numbers are not how we get paid. It's our ADMW, our weighted numbers, and our enrolled numbers usually go down from this time of year to the end of the year by about 2.5%. So we'll wait and see how this plays out within the whole state because it will affect us.
Thanks, Linda.
You're welcome.
And our last item, if we're still up and going, is the student investment account budget update from Ginger.
Yes, I can do that really quickly. The student investment account is funded at 1/3, and we will still have to go through a process and run it through the board for approval of which priorities we will select for this portion this year for the student investment account. The other high school success grant has been reduced, and we have to do a little bit of work the first week of the month of November on that. So I would like to move that work, that presentation to next month's business meeting. And Measure 98 was fully funded. And so that's the short version of that. And there will be more to come next month as we start to engage in that work of looking at the student investment account and the high school success grant funds. So that's it.
Great, thanks, Ginger. So our retreat is set for this Saturday, is that correct?
Correct. I'm still verifying the venue. I will announce it as soon as I have that confirmed. Hopefully that will be confirmed tomorrow.
Perfect. Okay. Hope to see you all there. With that, I guess I will, completing our tests, I guess I will adjourn this meeting. And thanks everybody for showing up. So
Thank you, everyone. And Jill, I'm really going to miss you. I hope to see you around.
I'll still be around. You can't get rid of me that easily.
Yay.
Thank you all.
thanks everybody.
Thank you.